Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to this amazing event. Thank you so much for your patience. We know we're a little bit behind on time, but it's very nice to have this kind of problem where we don't have enough chairs. So thank you so much for showing up and for coming to this amazing event. My name is Zsófia Rácz. I'm head of communications here at the Danube Institute, and it's my pleasure to welcome you all today. És most pedig mindenkinek, aki megijed, hogy magyarul nem fogom elmondani, el fogom mondani magyarul is, angolul is, egyelőre ezt a kettőt tudom vállalni. Nagyon sok szeretettel köszöntjük Önöket itt a Danube Institute-ban, és köszönjük a türelmüket. Egy picit 12 perccel megcsúsztunk a kezdéssel, de szeretjük, hogyha ilyen problémáink vannak, amikor nincsen elég székünk, úgyhogy köszönjük szépen, hogy ennyire szép számban üdvözölhetjük ma Önöket ezen a filmvetítésen. Én Rácz Zsófia vagyok, a Danube Institute kommunikációs vezetője, és engem ért ez a megtiszteltetés, hogy Önöket köszönhetem ma itt. Making a film about Hungarians sounds like a tough task. Many have attempted before, many have succeeded, many have failed. It's not easy to portray the mentality of such a nation as Hungarians. I think we can all agree on that. We are a very headstrong, historically troubled nation who still manage somehow to preserve the traditions that we have and who still feel that it's very important for us to carry on the legacy that we have received from those who came before us. So today's film is going to be a very interesting compilation of different stories. And we are really interested to see your reaction to how these stories meet at a melting pot in the end, and how the personal stories eventually become the story of a whole nation. A magyarokról filmet készíteni az nem biztos, hogy a legegyszerűbb vállalkozás. Egy elég makacs, keményfejű, történelmileg kicsit hányattatott sorsú nemzet vagyunk, akik ennek ellenére hisznek abban, hogy minden, amit a történelmünk során elértünk, amiben hiszünk, és amik azok az értékek, amik fontosak a számunkra, azok méltók arra, hogy ezeket megőrizzük és továbbvigyük. A mai napon nagyon sok személyes történetet fognak látni ebben a filmben, sok különböző szálon fog futni a történet, de hiszünk abban, hogy a végén ez összeér majd egy nagy egészé az önök számára is, és hogy találkozik az összes személyes történet egy egész nemzet történetében. And now it is my pleasure to welcome the president of the Danube Institute to give a few opening remarks to you. So now I'm happy to give the floor to John O'Sullivan.
Ladies and gentlemen, I want to begin by thanking my 4 colleagues who are the principal authors of this event, namely Sophia Gergely, who is the producer, István Kiss, who can't be here. He's in America. He didn't say Hollywood, but you never know. And also, I'm the director, that's right. And I want to say that it's a great pleasure to be able to say a few words about this event, because it reveals something about the Danube Institute. We've been going 14 years, but we've always had half a foot outside of the world of politics, economics, international affairs, in culture. The very first event we ran was a documentary which had won an award at the Best Documentary for the Amsterdam Documentary Film Festival on the last stages of the Soviet Union, which, as you can perhaps imagine, was a mixture really of horror film, tragedy, and occasionally, towards the end, comedy as well. And that was I was very happy that we did begin in that way, because we attracted not as good an audience as tonight, but certainly a decent audience for that occasion. I think it's important for people who work in a think tank line of work to realize, of course, that there is more to life and more to think tanks than all those other subjects. But the pursuit of beauty is one of those things. That's why, for example, we have a continuous, occasional series on the arts. The most recent one, and the one that is also being repeated in October, being Michael Walsh's lectures on Liszt, in which he accompanies his own lecture with, I hope that's not me. If it is, kill it. It's one thing to interrupt someone else's speech, but to interrupt your own. And that was a brilliant lecture, accompanied on 2 occasions here by Michael on the piano. Also, the same lecture, well, slightly different one, what makes Hungarian music Hungarian. He delivered both here and in New York, accompanied in both cases by artists, in the case of New York, by singers from the Hungarian National Opera who are visiting the city. So we've always been very happy. I should say, of course, among the other things with which where we've got ventured, and I hope happily, is sport. You know, I imagine there'll be something in the film which I haven't yet seen. I'll say I can recommend it wholeheartedly because I've seen the one other movie these producers have made, and that was a very, very good one we saw a few weeks ago. So I know on the basis of 100% of their work until today that they produce marvelous material. But I will remember finally that my first impression of awareness of Hungary was as I think, yes, a 13-year-old in the school playground after the historic defeat by England at Wembley in the famous international match in which we were defeated by Hungary. I have to say, in defense of my own country, that the boys in the school ground the next day were not just good losers, they were enthusiastic losers because the performance of the Hungarian team on that occasion hadn't just been a sterling one in which they defeated a perfectly decent English team, but it was seemed to introduce a completely new world of football. It was so innovative and so interesting. Now, as I say, I don't know what we'll be seeing tonight, but I know I'm looking forward to it. I will say finally that what this film is about is the life of a people, and there's more in the life of a people than any of the things with which we normally deal at the Danube Institute and in think tanks generally. I would say this is a film probably that can be enjoyed by all the members of both the Teaser party and the Fidesz party. Well, perhaps not all, but still a healthy number of them. So if I can thank my colleagues, claim the very, very limited role I played in the film, which was not to stop it being made, and say how much I'm looking forward to it. Thank you.
Nagyon röviden csak a magyar nyelvű vendégeinknek, és utána el is kezdjük a filmet. Nem próbálom meg ezt így szó szerint megismételni, de mégiscsak a lényeget kiemelni, hogy alapvetően lehet, hogy meglepően hangozhat az, hogy a Danube Institute, akik alapvetően egy transatlanti kapcsolatokra és geopolitikai folyamatokra fókuszáló kutatásokat produkáló intézet mégis miért csinál filmet. Reméljük, hogy a ma este után a válasz az meg lesz, hogy azért, mert van értelme ilyen kulturális produktumokat is előállítani, illetve, hogy ezt említette John, maga az intézetünk a működése kezdetén már gyakorlatilag filmbemutatókat, könyvklubokat, koncerteket szervezett, tehát úgy gondoljuk, hogy van értelme annak, hogy a kultúrára ilyen módon is figyelmet fordítsunk. Nagyon megtisztelő az, hogy a képen szereplők közül talán 2 embertől eltekintve mindannyian itt vannak ma velünk, akik szerepelnek a filmben. László, Luca, Dávid, Tamás, Gregó, nagyon köszönjük, hogy eljöttetek, és hogy itt vagytok velünk a mai napfolyamen. And the last words in English, it's a pleasure to have almost everyone who is on the picture here today with us, apart from 2, I believe. It's a pleasure to have Gregó, László, Luca, Dávid, and Tamás here with us today. And without further ado, I welcome to watch the movie, The Hungarians. I'm really glad you enjoyed it, and we are even more honored that, as I said, almost all of the people who were featured in the movie are here with us. So now we're very happy to have a quick panel discussion with some of them, not all of them, because we don't have like 6 hours to do that. But we would like to discuss quickly the most important messages that were featured in the film and how the people who are in the film actually, what was this whole experience for them. So quickly, I think behind me you will see who is going to be in the panel. Yes, there we are. And before I introduce the very first speaker, not the speaker, actually just the producer of the film, the thing is that we only have such a limited space for titles in this graphics that it was only producer that we could squeeze in there. Truth is, he was the producer, assistant to the director, occasional cameraman, driver, fixer, you name it. So really, he's the man behind the film, the man who actually made the movie happen. So it's my pleasure to call to the stage the producer of the Hungarians movie, Gergely Dobozi. It's also a pleasure to have us today award-winning photojournalist and photographer who will join us for the panel, László Kondor. And last but not least, and last but not least, he's going to be the star of the show. Like the whole energy for the panel is him, basically. So without further ado, last but not least, we are very proud to have world and European bronze medalist, Hungarian wrestling, representing the Hungarian Wrestling Federation, Tamás Lévai. Thank you very much for coming and for joining us in this amazing discussion we're about to have featuring you who were actually in the movie. Gergely, I'm going to start with you before you drink your water because as I've mentioned in the opening, it's not very easy to undertake this whole mission of making a movie that is about Hungarians, the Hungarian mentality or the Hungarian spirit. So please tell us about how the whole movie came together, because as for the speakers, you didn't choose experts or academics or politicians. You chose ordinary people with extraordinary talent and extraordinary job and courage and integrity. So what was the basis for you to choose these people to be featured in the film?
Yes, and thank you very much for attending this event. Szia, apa. The concept, when I took over this project in the middle of October, I've been tasked to actually film a movie about Hungarians. And where should we start it, I didn't know. But given that we have close connections to, actually as a publisher I have very close connection to Magyar Krónika, which is a magazine about Hungarian culture. I decided to reach out to the editor-in-chief. I knew Luca personally, and through Adam Lebor, who is a visiting fellow at the Danube Institute, we reached out to Gregor and David, since I'm not a professional producer, I didn't know what would happen in the coming months. I just knew that we are talking about stories and people and characters who has some story to tell. And actually, when traveling back from Dorog and filming with Tamás was the second interview, I asked John Conroy, who is the director, who did a very magnificent job with this film, a BAFTA nominee director from the United Kingdom, who actually deserves a clap. We were talking in a car about what would happen really. And 2 car rides after, the whole story started to unfold. Because this film, I don't know what your perception is about this film, but I had the opportunity to watch it several times. My perception is that it's a good opportunity to know each other, because these characters who are involved in the film, nobody really knew each other. No one really met. But as you saw, everyone was talking about the same story, but from a different perspective. And at a certain point of the film, or that was the original concept, we invited everyone in the audience to follow us and get to know each other. So basically, the whole concept just unfolded during the ride. I was honestly a little bit scared when, in the very beginning, John told me that he wouldn't use narration. And I was like, what the hell? How do we make a documentary without narration? The first film was actually built upon narration, so I was really excited. But when we returned to Dorog to film with Tamás again, we were just behind filming with Ferencváros, and the day after we went to Dorog. And actually, he referred to that match, which he saw on television. And I turned to John that we have the connection. And actually, we had these connections in every character. So basically, this is it.
Thank you. Laszlo, I'm going to turn to you right now, because in the movie, you say that your father told you you have to leave the country and in order for you to live and not come back, but you decided to come back and live here, and now you live here in Hungary. What made you come back? Why did you want to come back to Hungary?
How do I turn it? Is it working now? Before I even answer that, I had a very good friend in Chicago, a Chinaman, a wise old man, and he told me about a famous Chinese curse. And the curse said, "May you live in interesting times," which is wonderful, you would think, to live in interesting periods of history, but it can be very drafty when it's kind of over. 2 million dead are lying around everywhere. So, anyway, I thought I should, start with that one. The thing is, I never fully understood till much later where my father get the strength, the moral strength, to take his 16, I was not even 16 years old yet, but my brother was 18, and tell him you have to leave, because you have no future here. My brother was, he got wounded here at the Bécsi Kapu, not too badly, later on in the war in Vietnam I find out, when anything misses a major artery or a bone, it's a lucky shot. Well, he had a lucky shot. We used to joke with him later, because that was a little hole on his backside that he has 2 assholes. Okay? But anyway, and we left, and we made something out of ourselves. For us in '56 coming out, and even Austria, which was only the Soviet army left that year before, it was like paradise on earth. We went into Vienna just before Christmas, and that was lit up. Gorgeous, incredible lighting. And the other one, when we went by and see that some people stopped by, the police directing traffic, and they're dropping off gifts to the policeman. And I asked them later, the Austrians, what they said. Well, that's a costume in Austria. What a hell of a nice costume, And for me, it took me a year or so not to be afraid when I see a uniform, because it really pumped your head full of, and unfortunately, it was true. So, but your question was that why I came then?
Yes, what was the calling what was the point when you decided you would come back?
Well, we came back, Linda, when did we came back? 1996. She knows everything. And we came back here, and not only that I came back, but I brought with me a Native American woman who finds a new home for herself here, which is I'm very happy about, because there was a kind of a little touch and go, but it's, it worked out good. But we had a very strange costume. We've been married 47 years or 45. Which one, honey? Who cares? Doesn't really matter. And in America, we discovered something, that between a married couple, there is what they call a 7-year itch. That after 7 years, the big sexual ecstasy and everything gets a little stale and whatnot, and more arguments, and then very often they led to divorce and everything. And we learned how to deal with it in a very unique way. We got to that stage, we moved.
Okay.
And packing up everything, but you get so busy, you forget about divorce. So that's how we are here. And she can testify with me.
Thank you very much. Tamás, you have mentioned in the movie, I think your exact words were, wrestling is hard. Man, it's so hard, but it's also one of the most ancient sports. Do you view wrestling in your everyday life as only athletic? Do you view it just as a sport? Or do you think it's part of a deeper cultural heritage that you as a Hungarian have to carry on?
I think wrestling has a heritage in Hungary. So wrestling is a heritage in Hungary, and it's not just physical. It's mental. It's more. I think it's more mental actually, and the struggle, what I feel in the mat. Yes, I can take it to the life of our life, to the struggles. So maybe I have a lucky life. I have a good family, a really lucky life, because I live in peace. But I think if something bad happens to me, I can deal with it more naturally because of the way I struggle in the mat. So yes.
So you can somehow turn the physical suffering and kind of view it as a mind game, and if you can, defeat it physically on the mat, then you can carry on in your life using the same method.
Kind of, but as I said, the physical struggle is nothing compared to the mental. So I kind of like gets used to it, to the mental struggles, and as I win on the mat, I know I can do everything, and I can prepare myself for any obstacles that I can jump over. And this is what wrestling taught me, and this is what my father taught me, and this is the way I live my life.
Speaking of weight, you have said how you feel responsibility towards your family, your wife, you've seen your little baby in the movie as well. What is the legacy that the values that you are taking from your family, from your parents, that you want to pass on to your children?
It's kind of cliche, but to never give up, and to, even if you are kind of like a growing flower, you can grow out of concrete if you want to, if you have the passion. I'm a very passionate guy. I'm passionate about movies, songs, little talks with my wife. I always tell her that don't take this lightly. Just some kind of random stop, maybe in a restaurant, that I say this is the best food that I ever had, and I say to her that no, this is real. I have to be passionate about it, and I'm a really passionate guy. So yeah.
Thank you. Gergő, the ending of the movie is very hopeful, or sounds very hopeful, despite the fact that we see in the movie that there's a lot of confronting and difficult history in the movie. Was it a conscious decision from your side to include the hard times, the troubled times that Hungary had to face historically? Did you want to intentionally reflect on those hardships?
You mean the Holocaust and the Soviet era? Yeah. Actually, the key sentence is said by Tamás that you have to know your past if you want to change the future or live in the present in a very conscious way. But yes, well, we cannot skip this sequence if we work with persons who actually has a very troubled path in the family, like David's and Gregor's. Also, Laszlo is a 56er. So yeah, actually, the characters we work with necessitate that we have to delve into the depths of this era, and we made an attempt to do that. Actually, this is maybe the deepest point, the lowest point of the film. Actually, it was the lowest point of my works there, because we had to go into the House of Terror, the Terror House Museum, and actually find footages of tortured people and victims of communism and catch those one lines that made it into the film. It's a big challenge to actually balance the whole thing, because with David grandmother we had a very, very intimate insight of what happened during the Holocaust. And if you have that, we have to make sure that we at least try to find something that goes hand in hand with that story. But I think actually at least the attempt can be shown in the meantime.
Absolutely. Lastly, I'm going to turn back to you, because as a photojournalist, you capture moments and you freeze moments from history that become part of a nation's visual remembrance. Do you feel the responsibility not only to document those things, but also for them to shape how people think about those things that you document?
Well, of course, very soon you discover, when you take a picture and the U.S. Army allowed to go ahead, and then you find out it's appeared in Christmas time in '69, 11,000 American newspaper, some of them tiny little, almost home publication. Then it dawned on me, what a power you have in your hand, and to this day, I confess, I do believe in responsible journalism. Okay, sometimes what I see, especially on our Facebook and TikTok, I mean, I would never want to be part of it or put my name under any of it. Unfortunately, call this. I'm not talking about censorship. I'm talking about a responsible journalism to the people of your nation and the world. To not to spread false rumors and all that. So I was happy that many of us, my work, they get picked up by AP or UPI, and some of them went worldwide. If you want to put it that way, they were constructive or human or something. And I really enjoyed that and I hated the Vietnam War, the Afghan War equally, and I don't know how many war America was involved in the last 5 or 10 years, and many. I'm not a war lover, but what I came across, with Gergely, I think the other day talked about it. By that time I get there, I was 28 years old, an adult man, hopefully. And the average drafted American GI was between 18 or 21. So, and I hated the goddamn Vietnam War, but if you want to put it that way, with a little flattery, or I don't know how you want to say it, I fall in love with that average 18, 20 years old American soldier. The endurance they had, the cleverness that they had, the humanity they had to each other, even to the enemy. I loved it, and I do still today.
You said that you might sometimes forget names, but never faces.
What?
You said you sometimes forget the names, but never the faces
Never.
that you photographed. So does it happen to you that you go through old photographs, you look at a picture, and the whole story comes back to you?
Yes, sometimes, of course. And sometimes, late at night, if I don't sleep, I go up there. But you seen that I think there was my studio in Kapolcs. That's where we lived there. And that's interesting to sit down and, look at images of almost 40 years ago. And they come alive. They come alive. I was leaving. I was serving with the America division, and when I left, I was at the airport at July in khaki uniform already, and I was about to go back to United States. Not United States. I was reassigned to Hawaii, which was not a bad deal, of course, and. Some of these GIs came by, about 10 of them. They were flying, waiting for some flight to go someplace. And they said hello to me and all that. And they looked at my uniform. And with a few of the decoration I have at that time still, they looked at the question, where is your CIB? The CIB, the Combat Infantry Badge, that was established by President Roosevelt during the Second World War, when American soldiers on a vacation came back from, China, France and other places, and the infantry guys who were really up carrying the rifle in the front were angry that when they came back, Mary Lou in New York fell in love with a guy, a truck driver, a pot-bellied truck driver, who told the most incredible war stories. So the president paid attention to it, and he established this goal. It's, if you see American here news reels, it's only in the army. And on the left side of the uniform, they have the endless amount of medals for various achievements, or not so much achievement, but on the very top of it always, on a blue background, a silver rifle with a red around it. I didn't get it, although I was trained infantryman and all of that, and I went into combat, but the regulation read that you can get a CIB can award it to you if you have infantry training and et cetera, in wartime. But you serve at least for 90 days in an infantry company. Now that I didn't. But on my own, I spent more time out in the field photographing the guys than very often them. And that's what they told me. And I said, oh, bullshit, with the regulations. So, okay, and they called the formation, about 12 of them, and one of them took off his and came over and said, wear it. And screw the bureaucrats. It's one of my enjoyable memories of that. And I still wear the CIB on occasion.
That's an amazing story. Tamás, in the film you talk about endurance of pain and resilience, because obviously those are qualities that you need as a sportsman, as a wrestler. Do you think that those are qualities that you can learn, or it can be trained, or is it something that you inherit from your family or from those who came before you?
I think both. That it's a learnable, if I can say, skill, but you inherit it from your family. And as well as wrestling, is a solo sport. So I'm an individual athlete, but you can do it in your own. You need a team, and my father built our team, and as well it is a family also. So our team was always a family, and it is nowadays too, and. Maybe it came from my father, I think so, the endurance. And yes, I inherited, but I believe you can really learn it too. And I know guys who don't have a father like me, but I see them growing in endurance.
You also said that Hungary's story is a book and you want to be the next chapter. So what is this next chapter for you? What do you envision for yourself as your next chapter?
The first is always as a family man, as a husband, as a dad, because my biggest goal was always to be a dad. And when my daughter was born, I think it was the happiest day of my life. And still every day is good. She's not daddy's girl, but I'm looking forward to it. Maybe when she grows, she loves mommy first, of course. But yes, as a family man, and now my focus is on the sport. So I want to be a chapter in Hungary's book as a sportsman. And in the next years, I hope I still have a lot of years alive, because I want to help. I don't know how. I don't have plans. I just really focus on today's game. But I feel like somehow I will do something what will help others, and this is my main goal in the future. I don't know how. I can't say it. I don't have the plans, but I believe that somehow I can help.
And did you have a breaking point, or the hardest or lowest point regarding your career when you thought or you felt that you might want to give up because it's now too hard? And did you, being Hungarian, somehow help you get through that?
I think I have a break point every year. Because losses come every time. I believe I'm a good sportsman, but an elite sportsman. But elite sportsmen have losses too, and these losses, in the first 5 minutes, feel like the end of the world. But after that, you think about it. You know, what did you do wrong? You want to learn from it. You want to go further. And as a Hungarian, yes, a lot of things, a lot of endurance, a lot of mentality comes from my Hungarian self. Because our coaches, our teachers always say that we are Hungarians. We have to live in hard times. We have to come over hard times. And as in wrestling, the whole world knows that if you wrestle with a Hungarian, it will be one of a hell of a match.
Gergely, you talked about how hard it was for you to see first how the whole thing was going to come together. But when you had certain moments, these aha moments that made you have a vision of how the whole thing will come together in the end. So I know it's hard to pick, but if you had to highlight a few moments or sentences that made you feel like, yes, this is going to come together and this is going to be a great movie.
It was yesterday when I adjusted the subtitles.
Maybe something more inspiring than the subtitles.
Yeah, I had multiple moments. The first one was what we talked about when it somehow became interconnected. But actually, of course, it was. I don't know. I would say one of the biggest highlight was participating in the football match, knowing what we've been through and what could happen next when the whole football chapter, which looked a little bit odd for me in the very beginning when John started talking about this, asked me to get a football match, and I just asked, why do you want that? Because we are filming a documentary about Hungarians, but actually being there was very, very enjoyable. Of course, a sort of highlight was every time we had to get up early and visit David's kitchen at dawn, or go to your training, which is incredibly early in the morning, because it's a funny story, because John told me that, okay, you should ask Tamás now, when do they start? Tamás told me that, okay, we start at 5:30, and that means 3:55 waking up in Budapest, collecting the director, then go and drive to Dorog. But the same happened in David's kitchen. We filmed through the day. Actually, it was amazing to see how David's preparing for the day and see the guests coming and rushing into the kitchen. And now we suddenly found ourselves in a place which was empty before, and now we are crowded and we have to leave because we were with huge luggages. Traveling with John Conroy is a highlight in itself, because we during these drives we talked about Hungarians. How I kept asking him, how do you think you know Hungarians? What would you ask from the next character? And that's how the story unfolded. Maybe the most aha moments were in the car with John. Answering your question, yeah.
You made this movie about Hungarians as a Hungarian, trying to explain to a foreign director what Hungarians are like. This is not an easy job to undertake. So did anything change about how you view Hungary, or how you view Hungarians, or yourself as a Hungarian?
Oh yes, it would have become a very, very different film if we worked with a Hungarian director, because a Hungarian director would have asked cliché questions, and these questions that has been asked from every characters from the film were questions of a foreigner. And through his questions, I got to know a very, very separate angle, which I already had, and maybe one of my biggest exploration during the process is that somehow we Hungarians we all know each other, because every Hungarian in the streets, or the vast majority of them, knows about our past, knows that our history is on the streets, it's on the stands in the football stadium. One of the biggest aha moments of John was at the stadium, because he told me that in Britain no one really cares about history, and what the hell are we doing on the stands instead of watching football? Like, why are we commemorating? And that was another thing I recognized during the process. So yeah, I think this film gives an opportunity to everyone to get to know Hungary from a foreigner perspective.
Laszlo, let's say there is a young aspiring photographer or photojournalist. What would be your advice to them that you could give them how to become a successful photojournalist?
What? Well, first of all, nice meeting you.
Nice meeting you too.
Okay. You are good.
You are, I think, a little bit better.
Older.
And that's how friendships and connections are made.
What was the question?
If there is someone who wants to step into, well, not your shoes, but wants to follow you down the path, yes.
Go out there and do the show. And don't expect your brand new gadget to do it for you, okay? And that's what the great Hungarian photographer Robert Kappa once said. If the picture is not good enough, you're not close enough. Okay? I have some wonderful shots cramped inside of the helicopter and photograph how to assault into the jungle. And you have to be there. And you take camera like that because that's much space they allow you for that. And that's some of my best shot. If you're not close enough, it ain't go.
And what is the work that you want to be remembered by? That's the work that the photo that you took, that's the most important to you, that you want people to remember you by?
I don't know exactly. Photographs have a thing on their own. We have a little brochure that we have available to everybody here, how to make an icon. The thing about it is how any art piece, not only photograph, becomes an icon is not I or another photographer, but the people decide. When with an exhibit in Richmond, Virginia, with these 30 Hungarian photographers' influence on American photography, which was beautiful. It was here in the State University also. And when in Richmond, Virginia, when the show was over, I went to every museum has any brain has a gift shop by the exit. So when people are on there seeing some impression or something, they buy it, okay? And the price is no thing. And then the book that I had a back page cover and inside pictures and all that. It was nice, but they are merchandising these, tricky museum owners. And my picture with the little black boys with the American flag was the hot thing. They had in a booklet, in all kind of different forms. What killed me is they had it in about 12 centimeter long or so on magnets or magnetize something for the refrigerator door. I'm sure everybody has it, for remembering mother's birthday or buy potato, and they sold it by the thousands. Okay, that was a birth of an icon.
Tamás, we saw in the movie that you are actually building your own home with your own hands. How does that translate to building your own life? So does the two things, do they connect? So you physically building the home above your head, do you envision that as also you being in charge of building your own future?
Yes, yeah, it is my life. It is building my life because the house of the family is the life. And yeah, as my parents were an example for me, in my whole life, I want to take that role. And I would like to be that parent who have a lot of kids, and I can show them the world. I can show how I see the world, how I deal with the world, and I want to let them not as good as they can be, but as individual as they can be.
Thank you. Gergő, what is the biggest takeaway from you from this film? Has it shaped you in any way? Can we expect something like another movie in the future as well? So what are the plans?
My biggest takeaway is that you can always change careers. Because of this project, the two films I had to make, which I made with pleasure and happiness, actually, this project grabbed me from my original role at the Danube Institute as head of operations, and these films require maximum focus. And if you give the maximum focus to this project, that doesn't mean automatically that you can finish it in time. But each moments of the process actually spared me some burnout because otherwise I don't know what would have happened, because we had plenty of things to do here at the Institute. So actually, if these two films, which we already made, Future at the Gate and the Hungarians, I think I will be proud of each shot of the film because of the teamwork we went through. And actually, thanks for the help, because you're the co-producer. So.
I see that we are quickly approaching the end of the time that is assigned for this panel. So my last question to the people featured in the movie is, who is your favorite character in the movie who is not you? Who is the favorite character from the movie who is not you? Yes. I know who you're going to say. Of course, yeah.
Then we are on the same page.
No, there will be no wrestling match here. No.
I like his thought on life now and family and everything. Yes, congratulations.
Thank you.
You are my hero.
Tamás, do I need to ask you the same question?
Can I say someone else? I don't think so. So I think I will stay with Laszlo.
Thank you very much. So, ladies and gentlemen, we have a man who is living the moments and the times. We have a man who is capturing the moments, and we have a man who is actually collecting all of these moments and puts it to the movie. So please join me in a huge round of applause for our panel today. I'm sorry?
Questions from the audience?
Yes, I think we can do that. Yes. Wait a second. No, I'll go there. Wait a minute.
Thank you. I have several questions, but one is I wanted to know how you came to come up with, what prompted you to come up with this documentary, and whether the documentary is going to be entered into, say, the Academy Awards or whatever. What are the plans? So that's one. Where did you learn your English? All of that addresses to you. And Laszlo, Lotzi.
Oh.
Hi. Yes, no, but I want you, because we know each other, to tell the story that you told me, speaking of Hungarians being everywhere, of your being in a battle situation and you're calling on the radio and started swearing in Hungarian. And do you remember the rest of the story?
That story. Oh, Jesus. Okay, I will try to make it. That's being in Hungarian, being in Vietnam for a year and a half or two almost, with a question I asked a number of times, did I met another Hungarian? And no, I did not. Not face to face, but I heard one that probably saved our lives. I went out with a unit, infantry unit, and you imagine the jungle, about 100 men, 110 men in a line, almost a kilometer long. And the enemy was quite intelligent enough to hit the unit with some heavier weapons, here and there and there. I went out to the unit and with a resupply helicopter and get out, and I got into, basically, I landed in the middle of the goddamn war. Okay? Well, I crawled on and tried to find, because one thing to do, the radio can save your life, to ask for help. And I find a radio man, but he had a horrible shoulder wound. And I have to first bandage him up so he stays alive, and also to help me to get on the radio. Well, he couldn't. And he was all shook up, understandably so, I think. And finally, that's okay, I took the radio over. But, there are procedures. You name and everything, and are you on what frequency you are. I didn't know any of them. I just landed in the goddamn thing and right in the middle of a war. So, I get on the thing, I try to explain on the radio to the repression that we are in deep shit of trouble, as we used to say in Vietnam, up to here. And they asking me all these identification things and all that, and I just had enough. I started to curse in good Hungarian, hogy az anyád, meg a minden, you can imagine all that. Every good Hungarian learned that. And I went bananas and just cursing didn't help, unfortunately. Till a radio, another voice comes in from an airplane, from a jet fighter, and he says, "Who the fuck are you?" In Hungarian. Ki az Isten, milyen ki vagy te seggfej? És akkor én végre, I started to talk to him, and said, cool down. Said they're already checking back at division. Give them your ID number and everything and units and they will. Well, I don't blame them because the radio could have been already captured with the enemy, who's kind of all giving got orders for the artillery to shoot the company. Simple as that. So it was a very normal caution, but not for me. Of that. So anyway, and the guy talked to the base, and then finally he said, "That's all good, but when is the help comes?" And he said, 5 minutes away. He was calling jets, and did the fireworks. So that's how I met, in the radio language, a Hungarian. God bless him. He saved my life, probably.
The easiest way to recognize Hungarians is just, listen to where is the Hungarian swearing coming from, and then you know that that you have already found them. Gerge, there was a question for you as well.
Yeah, you had some questions to me, and how did I end up being the producer of this film? It's a funny story because okay, the time is up. Actually, I made one, and because no one else in the house. No one else knew how to start it, and it was an ongoing project back then in the middle of October. I had to rescue it, so this is the outcome.